Welcome to Sense of Style. I'm Stuart. 8 seductive fragrances too tempting to resist. And they are not just going to be too tempting for women to resist. They're going to be too tempting for us. There are some really good fragrances. If we smell them in the stores, we're going to buy them. Now, the reality of the situation when it comes to women is they're not going to proposition you right away once you wear it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, though, is you're going to get compliments when you wear them. 2 years ago, I worked with an awful lot of women, and you'd be amazed how often I'd be wearing a fragrance, and I'd have some woman, my coworker, sheepishly come up to me and go, I just had to say, you smell really good today. That makes your day. Fragrance number 1, this is Guerlain L'Homme Idéal Eau de Parfum, and this fragrance is the number 1 fragrance that I purchased in 2024. I bought just over 50 fragrances this year. This is the real standout. I absolutely love it. The weird thing about this one is not so much the notes, although the cherry note is really nice. It's the vibe. You know how some fragrances have a different feel than other ones? Something might be like really, really strong and powerful. Other ones might be more subtle. Other ones might be more powdery. It's the vibe of this fragrance, which is both soft and strong at the same time, that I really like. The only other fragrance I have that does that is Prada Luna Rosa Black. I get the same vibe. Now, obviously, there are 2 very different fragrances. This one is cherry, vanilla, and almond. There are other notes in it, but that's essentially what you're going to get. That cherry note is a real standout. This fragrance has really good projection, really good longevity. This is a true masterpiece. I'm glad I wore this year. Fragrance number 2, this is West Loop by Michael Malul and Gents. And my respect for Ash as a knowledgeable fragrance person went through the roof when I tried this, because this is the second best fragrance that I've tried this year. What I like about it is he seems to have his finger on the pulse of what people like. He knows that older guys, they like powdery floral fragrances, things like iris, but younger guys like sweet fragrances. What this is a sweet floral, but it doesn't do it in a typical way, something like Prada L'Homme Intense, which just takes a lot of vanilla and a lot of iris. It goes about it in a different way, and it's really cool. They use 2 floral notes that are both sweet, vanilla orchid and almond blossom. So both of those are a little bit sweet, a little bit nutty, but they're also floral as well. The sweetness is backed up by the tonka, and to save it from being feminine, there's a lot of cinnamon. So it's spicy, it's classy, it's seductive. If you're 25 and under, this is fantastic. Fragrance number 3, this is Jean-Paul Gaultier's Male Elixir. This is a bit of a juggernaut when it comes to the fragrance community. You can see it's way up in the voting on Fragrantic. Again, this year, it was the 2023 Fragrance of the Year. It is a very seductive, sweet fragrance, and it works really well. It leans more 35 and under because of the sweetness, but the type of sweetness is absolutely fantastic. It's a weird mix of 4 sweet notes. You got benzoin, vanilla, tonka, and honey. So it's just the way the sweetness smells. It comes together really nicely. It's kind of an original sweet scent. That sweetness lasts, and it takes probably at least a couple of hours before the classic Le Male DNA of mint and lavender rises to the top and creates a little bit of balance. But the sweetness is really, really pleasant. I got a compliment, probably the second furthest away that I've ever gotten a compliment, just this week when I was wearing this. It shocked me. When I get a compliment from someone at a distance, that's always really cool, because it's like, this thing is projecting, and this thing has a reputation for being strong. It is also very seductive, especially the younger you get on the female spectrum. Fragrance number 4, this is By the Fireplace by Maison Margiela, another sweet, seductive fragrance, but this one covers all age ranges. This is going to appeal to a wide variety of people. Now, it is a unisex fragrance, and that always puts some people off. And if you were to know that it's a very sweet fragrance and it's got some chestnut and you kind of left it right there, you'd be thinking, well, very sweet. Yeah, I'm going to stay away from that. However, this fragrance is made masculine by a very strong balsamic quality. It has to do that in order to smell like a fireplace. And I've said this before, but if you're looking at something that smells like a fireplace, there's a lot of cinder and ash and things like that that is not super feminine. And this is able to recreate it by the use of cloves, which is pungent, and 3 balsamic notes. Gaiac wood creates a sense of smokiness, but is also balsamic. Juniper is an aromatic balsamic note. And then you've got Peru balsam. That says it all right there, which create all of those together create kind of a slightly toxic smell anyway that combines with the sweetness. Really, I mean, on my skin, this thing performs like a monster. 10 to 12 hours, no problem. Lots of projection. Very seductive, especially this time of year around Christmas. Really cold in most of the world. Sorry, Australia. But yeah, really cold, warm feeling fragrance. Great on a date in the winter. Fragrance number 5, this is Rochas Moustache. This one is, for the longest time, it's been in the $40 range. It's probably a little bit more now. But for those fragrances that I have a lot of respect for, I give more prominence to in my videos. I talk about them more. I put them in more select spots. This is one of them. It is an exceptional buy. It is seen as a clone of YSL Tuxedo. However, it is slightly sweeter than Tuxedo. It is not quite as succinct as Tuxedo, but it really does smell like Tuxedo, which is a very seductive, very intriguing, high-quality fragrance. Rochas really pulled it off with this one. Presentation's also really good, too. Basically, what you're going to get, vanilla, benzoin, and pink pepper. There are other notes in there, but that's really what you're going to get. The nice mixture of the vanilla and the benzoin, it pulls it in more of a sweet resinous direction. And then the pink pepper is just the right amount. Performance on my skin, 6 hours, no problem, good projection. I will always, 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 always tout this fragrance because it is an exceptional buy. Fragrance number 6, this is Vera Wang for men. And this is a fragrance that you will not hear much about on the internet. It's a very inexpensive fragrance, $30 range. And yet, it's funny because you heard about, up until recently, last couple of years, not so much, but up until then, like all the time I would hear about Dolce & Gabbana, the one Eau de Parfum. And, this smells so similar to it. It actually smells a little closer to the Eau de Toilette, but this is slightly better than the Eau de Toilette. So that is the main issue, is the performance. But in a seductive date situation, especially in warm weather, this thing is going to do really well. So obviously, it is a sweet tobacco fragrance. And the fascinating thing about the sweet tobacco of Dolce & Gabbana, the one, which I think was the #1 fragrance on YouTube for a while, was that, the fresh quality to a sweet tobacco. And they got it from this. This came first. So there's mandarin leaf and yuzu, and then you've got tobacco and a little bit of spicy nutmeg. Not sure where the sweetness comes from this. I think they kind of left it out. Dolce & Gabbana have listed some kind of vanilla note, and yet it smells very similar, but this one focused more on the fresh quality. Really, really seductive fragrance. Again, really good to wear on a date in the summer. You will get compliments with this. Performance is an issue, but within the first hour, you should get something. Fragrance number 7, this is YSL L'Homme. And I had absolutely no reason to get this sample. The only reason I ended up with it was I bought YSL La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Électrique from YSL Canada, because it was the only place you could get it. And they sent me 3 samples. And then when I tried this, I'm like, hold the phone here. This thing was like way better than I thought it would be. The only thing to that point I'd ever heard about from L'Homme was the fact that it didn't perform well. And it doesn't. I mean, it's about 3 hours in terms of longevity. It doesn't really last long, but damn, does it smell great. It's the best use of ginger that I can think of. Lum Ultime, I think, is incorrectly named because this, to me, is the perfect use of ginger. Lum Ultime, they call it that because it's the ultimate ginger. It has a lot more ginger, but the ginger in this is balanced so nicely. Lemon and bergamot to go with a little bit of tonka and ginger. It just comes off as absolutely fantastic. There's spices too. It's perfectly balanced. It smells amazing. Think of it as like a spicy ginger masterpiece. If this thing lasted 6 hours, that's all we'd be talking about. Finally, we have Afnan's Supremacy in Oud. This is a clone of Initio's Oud for Greatness. This is a really good clone of Oud for Greatness. It is more synthetic, but the performance is phenomenal. And I think Oud for Greatness and this fragrance are both really good for a date night seductive situation because they are the sweetest oud fragrances that I have tried. And I do have a sample of Oud for Greatness. I have compared them head to head. This is really good here. So I don't know what Initio were thinking with the note breakdown for Oud for Greatness because it's a very sweet oud, and yet they don't have anything sweet listed. This one lists oud, saffron, and sweet notes. So very explicit in that they had to add something to get the sweetness. Initio don't do that. Either way, sweet, seductive oud. You don't normally think of oud as a seductive note, but when it's done by Oud for Greatness and by Afnan, they pull it off. So yeah, I like temptation. It can work a lot of ways. Some of these fragrances are super tempting if I was to smell them in the store. And yeah, it does happen. It does. And look, honest to God, man, I've had a couple of compliments for women that are much younger than me. And that whole sheepish thing, that's happened to me 3 times. They come up, they feel really awkward. I'm like, oh, you smell so good. I don't know, man. Makes my day. Thanks for watching.